Hello and welcome to Business Influencers, brought to you by TALRadio. Hope everyone's having a wonderful week. Today's show is going to be a spectacular one. We are here with Rob Finkelstein. Again, he is the CEO and founder of Alumni Direct. Now, you probably heard on past shows, even including another show that I do, they are one of the sponsors to our show. But we happen to have him here on today talking about alumni, your most valuable resource. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And before I introduce Rob, I'm going to give you a little background about him. He is a founder and CEO, again, of Alumni Direct. He's a family man with a passion for helping others and making a difference in their lives. Rob is an established business professional with over 30 years of sales and networking experience. Through his platform, alumnidirect.com, which you're going to learn more about today, he looks to create value by connecting alumni with other fellow alumni in all aspects of business and life. And without further ado, we welcome Rob Finkelstein to the show. Rob, how you doing?
Chris, I'm doing great tonight. How you doing?
Doing great. Well, it's such a pleasure for you to be here. And, you and I have now known each other going on almost a year now. Since we got involved, actually, it probably just about probably over a year at this point. And when we touched base and all the wonderful things that you are doing with alumnidirect.com, let's talk about, alumni. How, we all know those that went to college, those that were in fraternities, sororities, maybe perhaps we worked in, we look back on our career in the companies we work with. And, when it comes to our network, that is as valuable as it can be. Let's talk about alumni, though. Why is alumni your most valuable resource when it comes to your network?
I think because you have like an affinity relationship. It's that step up. And a lot of times I talk about, I've gone to different types of networking events, and you meet people all across the board, but there's something special when you meet an alumni from your school, or maybe it's an alumni, business alumni associate, any type of group that you might be in. You mentioned fraternities, sororities, there could be athletes, but it's that connection. It's kind of that, there's a trust there. So you can meet this person, they're a fellow alumni, and, honestly, the person they could be a jerk, let's say, you don't know that, but your first inclination is, wow, they went to my school, or they worked at this company, and we have that relationship. And I think because of that trust, you want to reach out and help them. And that's always that step that I like to take is, how can I help them? Especially with me, like I'm about 1,200 miles from the University of Delaware, where I went to school, in South Florida. And so when I'm in South Florida and I go somewhere and all of a sudden I see that University of Delaware sticker, or just somehow I happen to be talking to somebody like, hey, I went to University of Delaware. I'm there. I want to help them out. It's just it's something that I'm passionate about doing.
Wow, that's great. So let's talk about, alumni and just alumni in general. There are so many people from different generation types, but, I look back on my own personal experience. To this day, I still leverage my alumni. Not that I'm looking to do anything to my gain, but just keeping in contact with people, sharing experiences, remembering old times, but also as ways that I could also give back and help others. And by being plugged in, I have access to certain things that I wouldn't if it weren't for my alumni brothers in this case. And it could also be women as well. Talk about, when you think about alumni, what is that experience, other than the experience you had when you were in school, the things that you could do to kind of, experience these things again with these people?
Well, I think the first thing is, it's just, you have that common ground. So there's that connection that you might have with them. So you could talk about, if it's college related, for example, you're talking about maybe it's the restaurants or the bars on campus, or some of the different buildings, or, going to the football games and things like that. I think you can relate. So you mentioned there's a span. So here I am as an older alumni, and, somebody just graduated, or maybe they're out of school 2-3 years, and, I can relate to them because we're talking about what happened in our city where we went to school. Or for the same token, like you mentioned, you got your fraternity brothers or sorority sisters, where people just, they gravitate to each other and they want to help. And the one thing that you'll find is, Ivy League schools do a great job of that, and fraternity sororities as well, where they want to help the people out that are affiliated with them. So as you move on in life and look at different areas, jobs, for example. So one of the things that we're trying to do with Alumni Direct is to have a platform where, you as an alumni, let's say you own a business and you're interviewing different people and everybody's got the same credentials, but there's that one person that went to your school, they're part of your school, or they were a fraternity brother, a sorority sister. Maybe you played sports, you didn't play sports together, but they played sports at the same thing. You want to reach out and help them.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, there's something about giving. I mean, when you talk about mentoring and guiding younger people, I mean, to this day, I love doing that. I did that as a youth baseball coach over the last 10 years, stepped down a few years ago when I was doing that with my son. Now he's in high school now, so he's got his own coaches. He doesn't need his dad anymore. But nonetheless, I still like to help people from my, ASU, where I went to school. Some of the young people, I had an opportunity to mentor a young guy who graduated about 2 years ago, right before COVID hit. And it was just really great. This young man was, venturing into entrepreneurship right out of school. And it was great to be, part of, sharing my experience and more or less really focusing on him and what was compelling to him to help move him along in his journey towards entrepreneurship. Talk about like some of the things that you've been talking about, how you give in terms of the things that you like to give time and help others from your school. What are some of the things that we can receive as looking at alumni as a valuable resource?
So the alumni giving back in general?
Yeah. Just something that, that can benefit you, in terms of receiving.
Yeah, I think it's just gratification is one thing. I mean, if you think about, you just have this great experience, when you're younger, let's say, and so you get to be an older alumni. I think to see, the passion in these students that went through some of the same programs that you went through, had some of the same experiences. And I guess it kind of, the gratification, maybe it's reliving those memories. I think we all get set up in life and, we're all busy with different things, family and, activities and all that. But I think it gives us an opportunity to reflect a little bit, because we can think back to those good old days, or even, I've talked to people that have these business alumni associations, and, they used to work at, Blockbuster is a good example. I mean, think about people that were at Blockbuster Video. Now there's only one left, but they have that good feeling of when they were in Blockbuster and they're getting popcorn and movies and getting those new releases. So I think that's what it is to me. The gratification is just seeing these people and how we can help them. Because, I keep talking about help this, help that, but that's truly what we're about. So I do like when I know that I help somebody maybe get a job, or I help connect somebody, maybe somebody in their family, maybe they even needed a doctor, let's say, and I was able to make that connection. And I think because we have those relationships, it's kind of like another friend having an alumni, because you've gone through a lot of the same experiences.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, there are a lot of alumni out there, and, just alone in your own school, like you said, not only people you went to school with, but people that went before you, after you, or anywhere in between. A lot of times, Rob, we could, more likely we could probably reach out and find these people just through search on LinkedIn. But, when you look at a lot of these platforms that like LinkedIn and Facebook, and they've grown so big that there's so much noise out there. And a lot of people have gotten to the point, like, I don't know if I want to get on, if I go into my messages, I'm getting spammed, I'm getting somebody trying to sell me something. And people are just kind of, taking caution
Sure.
to connecting with certain people, even if they come from their school. So look at, even though we know that alumni can be a valuable resource, let's discuss some other ways that people can feel safe, and not just through, like a LinkedIn, but, other platforms like Alumni Direct that are giving it an authentic way for people to connect. Share about what's going to be the difference in what you see with platforms like Alumni Direct and maybe some other things in other types of, scenarios that are going to help people to kind of break through that noise and really connect what you talked about, where we can just share experiences and we can do certain things and not feel that we're getting bombarded with all this noise?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think if you look at some of these other platforms, they're, like you said, they're so big, there's a lot of noise. And what differentiates what we're trying to do is it's specifically for alumni. So people want to be there. And you can go to networking events and meet people across the thing. Everybody's looking to sell this or sell that. But the idea here is that we're creating these community centers specific to whether it be schools or business alumni, athletes, whatever it might be. But we're creating it specifically to that university or these groups. And by doing that, people want to be here. They want to know more about what's going on. And we're trying to give it that feel of, I think a lot of these bigger platforms too tend to be siloed. So, you might go on a platform and maybe you're looking for a job or you're trying to find fellow alumni, and you're trying to find different types of value. Maybe you want to advertise your business, but you have to go down different silos or rabbit holes. And so what we're trying to do is foster this coming to a community and all working together. And, if I come to this community and I can get a job from a fellow alumni, or if I am an alumni that has a job to offer, I can do that. Or I want to create that event. And I don't have the pressure of, sometimes these events are created through schools and other things where, you got to pay this or donate that, but it's more about, coming here and wanting to be in that event, getting a group of 10 friends together and talking about different things and creating new friendships. And then the power of trying to promote your business. I mean, to me, if somebody goes out there and they want to buy a product or a service, if an alumni is offering it, they might not buy it, but I think they'll at least give it that look as, hey, I'm an alumni. And then what we're trying to do as we move forward, and we've got some exciting things happening, is putting content out there specific to that community or to that university. So, the idea of being able to go there every day and say, hey, what's going on there? But the one thing that we're striving to do is to keep things positive, because Chris, out there's so much, between political and religion and everything else. We want it to be a fun, safe place where people can go and interact. And then even within these communities, creating groups. So you talk about the privacy, maybe there's a group that we want to, people just want to have their inner group of 10 or 20 people. They can do that. Or, one thing we've talked about, we're trying to cater to athletes. So imagine a community where athletes can go across all sports and they can interact with each other and not have that concern of, okay, well, they're an athlete, I want to talk to them, but it's their own private community where they could do these different things.
Yeah. And you think about it, Rob, when we're just getting back to alumni and as a valuable resource, people are more likely to trust someone, not necessarily that it's 100%, but trust someone that maybe they don't know or maybe haven't talked to in a long time, knowing that they went to your school. You're more likely to bond. Talk about that, even with jobs, with partnerships, business opportunities, why people are probably more likely to give the edge to someone that they either went to school with or that went to their school in itself, but didn't know them, but yet just went to their school and are more likely to give favor to someone like that.
I think it's that step up. It's a little bit, we talked about trust. And I think when you're talking to these fellow alumni, like you said, you can meet anybody and they, you might bond in some sort, maybe from, you're from the same area, but there's that attraction as alumni. To your point, it's like, okay, well, let me listen to them and I do trust them. And, you don't know how the people are, but because you've, went to that, let's say, same school, maybe had some of the same professors, went through the same program. It's just, you kind of have the feel like I did that and it was great. I had a great experience and these other people have done that too. So I want to gravitate to them and work with them and help them versus if I just meet somebody off the street, not that I might not help them, but it's going to take a little more for me to get to know them versus at least if an alumni, even though I don't know them, you kind of mentioned it, I know where they went and I know maybe the fabric of the education they had. And because of that, I'm going to, start this relationship and give them a little more credence than I might somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. I always say when I have a Sun Devil that reaches out to me on LinkedIn, I'm more likely to accept and actually initiate a conversation. Don't get me wrong. I love to engage. I'm a networker myself, but when you get over 300, people reaching out to you every day on LinkedIn, you can't get back to everyone. So it definitely, those are the people that are going to stand out, and where I could, where I see Alumni Direct doing a great job of kind of, separating all the stuff that bogs you down and really focusing, saying, hey, I'm coming here with a mission to connect, a mission to share experiences, have fun. Maybe it's business related, depends on the group. Yet I get to come in and I don't have all these other things that could be distractions that come along with it. So that's what's the beauty of what I love that you're doing here. Talk a little bit about, again, with, alumni, like what are some of the things that you feel are, missing out there, like where Alumni Direct is playing a role in filling the gap? What's missing out there with connecting alumni and really making stronger connections?
I think that it's kind of hard to do. I think when you go to some of these other platforms, you can look and you can find people that went to your school, but somebody put it best to me is that you'll go there and you'll connect with somebody. So we went to the same school, we connect. It's kind of like just handing a business card, but why do we need to keep talking? Whereas what we're trying to do is fostering, I want to be here. I mean, I think that's the key. I want to be here. I am an alumni. I want to be in this community center. I want to interact, and it's not for everybody, but I think we talked, you mentioned a little bit before. I mean, there's over 100 million alumni out there in the US, and it's a huge number. And I think sometimes people might not necessarily want to go back, to the universities or through that. They just, they want to go to more of a common place where it might be less threatening, so to speak. And so when they're in this common place, they really, get to truly interact.
Wow, that's great. I mean, and that we definitely need more of that. Now, you talked about before a little bit referencing athletes, and athletes are, they obviously, most of them, if not all, went to college. They played ball, sure, either football, basketball, baseball, or something else. Talk about, like, again, where, that end of it, alumni with athletes. How important is that, to bring athletes more together? I mean, as using a platform like Alumni Direct.
Well, it's interesting, some of the things that are going on out there, and some of the different, like in the NCAA, they changed some of the rules and regulations where in the past it was kind of all about the schools and the different sponsorships and businesses, getting most of the profits and all that from like different, events, games and all that. And now they've opened it up to where athletes can promote themselves and make some money per se on their likeness and their brand. They can't go specifically to the university. So, what we want to do is create that platform for these athletes to, alumni get excited. So, I mean, you can think about some of the smaller schools. I mean, you've got the big schools, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, University of Florida, and people know who these athletes are. They've got that national platform. But imagine some of these smaller programs where there might be a phenomenal athlete, whatever sport they might play, and the alumni know who they are. So by giving them that platform within our site to where they can promote themselves is a great thing. And then also tying it into alumni athletes. Again, people remember those good old days. Again, we talk about these guys that played, maybe 20 years ago, or these women that played 20 years ago. To give them a place to go now where everybody can get excited about it. So we're kind of creating that space of both the athlete and the alumni that might not have played sports, but bringing them together and helping each other out. And then when we get more specifically into, an athletic community center itself, we talk about just ways to help them. Are there ways to mentor them? Are there ways to create different learning and webinars? There's a lot of people out there that want to help these athletes, depending on how they came up through the world and through sports. And a lot of these guys, they didn't have the time. I mean, they practice. You played sports, you're practicing all the time, you play games. So they don't have, they're not getting some of those learning experience potentially that other people are getting. So if we can help them with that and help them in their journey, I think it's a great thing.
Wow, that's fabulous. No, I love it. I mean, yes. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, these are great things. Again, just tools and resources. And what's great is that, people have a choice. They get a choice to what tools and resources to use that best fit, adjust with what they're looking to do and accomplish. So what's next, Rob? What's next for, where you see this whole alumni connection really going to the next level? I mean, where Alumni Direct is playing a role in that and how it's going to bridge people, stronger together.
It's, we're working on different things, like different avenues of bringing these people together. We're excited. We've got mobile apps coming up in this next year here at the turn of the new year that will help people. We want to facilitate these relationships. We just feel that when you look out there, people can go back to their colleges, and their colleges are great. Don't get me wrong, but we want to give them as much as we can, and just to give this an environment they can thrive in. And we continue to look for new ideas on how to promote things, how to promote jobs, how to promote events, how to get good content. We're toying around with ideas. One idea we have is there's a potential app out there where a coach can talk about like a sporting event and give a 4-minute thing that we could put on the site for everybody to come hear back, because people are excited about what's going on. So I think the more we can drive people back, and I think it helps the universities as well, because I think when people realize that affinity relationship that they have, when they think back to the college and the positive memories, they're more likely to want to get involved and give back to the schools, and whether it be in a financial sense and a mentoring sense. So we just want to facilitate these communities and grow them and challenge people to use it. Come out and use it. Do like I say, whether it be posting jobs, events, advertising business, but use it and work together. Just I think there's a lot out there, people today. There's so much I think negativity in general in our society. And if we can bring back that warm feeling, and I think a lot of that starts from the good old days of being, you're an alumni from wherever you went, and now you're just thinking back to that positivity. Let's bring people and create friendships that they might not have had if they just kept going on their daily life. So if they can go to a place and create these friendships and help each other and get value, that's what we're trying to do. Wow,
fabulous. Well, Rob, you shared a lot of great information here today on business influencers. Again, brought to you by TALRadio. What's next for you and Alumni Direct, and where can people reach out and find more about Alumni Direct and all the great things that you're doing to make alumni your most valuable resource?
Well, first of all, go to our website, which is alumnidirect.com. And like I said, look for new exciting things to continue, looking for great new content and the mobile apps coming. You can also find us on Facebook and LinkedIn. And, we want to go after different groups of people. We want to encourage people that, get a group of 20 people, talk about, you're going to a homecoming game. Let's give them a platform where, they can plan that event. They can get on and do some different chat sessions and messaging and all that. So it's all about communication. We want to get people as much as they can to come out and start building something that's exciting for them. And the thing of being a smaller company, we want people, we're kind of looking at it as an open canvas. We want to hear from them. We want them to go out and experience this, and we want them to make suggestions. Hey, could you do this? Can you do that? Yeah. Some we might be able to do, some we might not, but we want to be nimble and be able to support what people want to do, and not be, some of these bigger platforms, they're fantastic, but you just can't get that. We want to have that home friendly feeling.
Wow. Well, Rob, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. We want to thank you, listeners, that have been supporting business influencers with TALRadio since our inception. And we want to welcome all new listeners to our show. Again, we encourage you to check us out here at TALRadio.com. And check out Touch a Life Foundation. Also, this all the great things that they're doing to bring people together from all diverse backgrounds, helping people elevate themselves on every aspect, from families to communities and business. Till next time, we'll see you next week, and we'll have another great guest sharing their words of wisdom and insights to help propel your business to the next level as a business influencer. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody.